1380 KCIM Sports presents KCIM Sports Rewind. A look back at the week in high school sports. Brought to you by St. Anthony Rehab Services. Here's Sports Director Jeff Blankman, John Ryan, and Jeff Honnold.
Well, we are minus one sports director here today, so...
It's raining out. How can they be having golf? I think he's playing hooky.
Possibly. I'm not sure what.
We better check a casino.
Either that or he's out underneath a tree in the Ames golf course somewhere.
Please.
That would be hilarious to see that out there. So that just means more airtime for everybody else.
Does that mean we go long today?
It actually means the program will be about 5 minutes long today, and we'll probably just cut it off from there.
Right.
We're out early today. Actually, no, we've got a special guest here in our studio with us. Decided to bring in Randy Snyder, half of the listening audience, I believe, for KCIM Sports
what are we
Rewind.
thinking here? We're not always listening.
We just cut our audience in half.
Yeah, I still got my radio on at home, so
okay,
you
all right.
still got that pull from Northwest.
The cows can hear it?
The cows and the calves.
All right.
Well,
We like that.
we ordered up the rain just for you so you could make an appearance here today.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's National Hot Dog, or what is it, Hamburger Day or
Hamburger
something.
Day. Yeah.
I knew something special
Where
was
are
going to
they?
happen today.
Yeah,
You
well,
couldn't get the cattlemen to bring him in?
if they're listening,
Nope. Delivery boys.
If anybody's got their number, bring them on in here today. So we decided to talk a little bit about the Kemper baseball team, about the Merchants coming to town, because, Jeff, you've got them coming up at the end of the week. But going to start out, of course, with maybe the biggest story around right now. It's Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors. Randy, you said you've been following these guys into the NBA Finals, first time ever for Toronto, and that's exactly why Nick is there.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about off air when Nick was a little guy and he attended Kemper and all the fun we used to have with him and played baseball with his brother Steve and have some great stories. But Nick was a determined young guy. He could tell them he was a survivor, and by golly, he has a chance to win final here.
And what were you telling him? what was the quote?
Something about I was flicking Cheerios at him and accidentally hit him a couple times, but we reassured him that he would amount to something very special.
Yeah, that's not the story I remember.
That was not the encouraging words I believe we heard off air.
No, and so whenever I need to place a bet, I'm going to call you. That way I can bet the opposite, because if you were telling him he wasn't going to amount to anything, that's a pretty good run.
Nick has done very well, and he's a lot to be proud of, and he was back here not too long ago. In fact, in 2016, he talked to our baseball team before the championship game, you can see why he's very successful on how he gets his guys pumped up, and he gave our guys a nice speech for that. So he's truly a remarkable man, and you can see how he can get guys gathered together and get them going in the right direction.
The whole Nurse family's got to be just on cloud nine right now.
Yeah, I know they all want to get a job with him. I talked to Steve at church one day, and he's hoping that he's up at UNI doing equipment manager up there for a long time, and he's hoping he'll get a job through Nick somehow too. So,
but man, it has been a crazy ride. I don't know how he doesn't have like 10 ulcers. Right now through the playoffs. They fall down in that first series. Kawhi Leonard with that amazing shot to win over the Sixers, and then you drop the first two to the Bucks. I mean, it seems like they've been behind the eight ball all playoffs.
And he had it together. If you watched him when that ball was bouncing on the rim, when Kawhi hit that shot, it was bouncing. I mean, he was so composed. He jumped a little bit, but in his post game, he was very cool, calm, collected, very appreciative, knew the moment. That says a lot about.
Should we drug test him?
I think he's okay.
Get one of those pressure cuffs on him.
Make sure he's still alive.
I think he's okay. I know the press cuts him up a little bit for some of his facial gestures, but when that's all you got to dump on a guy, I mean, you're grasping. But he's a very good coach, and we wish him the best.
Boy, I tell you what, this guy has just grinded away during his career. I mean, he's been all over the place coaching. He's been over in Europe. Every spot he's gone, he has won. He was even an Iowa State coach for about a cup and a coffee, and then they made the coaching change. But, he's paid his dues.
Iowa Energy won it there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, D-League. And, he's relentless. And that's the sign of a good coach. You just don't go away. You're always relentless. Kind of find a way to stay in it, And that overseas trip that he had over there, that kind of set a precedent for him. He got his foot in the door, got his name out there, and coming back here and as an assistant in Toronto was just a great fit for him.
Yeah, it really was. Boy, he stepped into a great situation going on there after they were eliminated in the first round last year, and that's what precipitated the whole coaching change after they had a successful regular season. But, boy, give him a lot of credit for that. He's one of those guys, I think he would be successful in anything he did.
Yeah, you'd have a hard time imagining he couldn't be. And then the Leonard pickup was huge. You got to have a little luck, but I hope they can keep him in town after they win this whole thing, and they can add to it. And Nick can build himself quite a pedigree there.
Yeah, no kidding. But that's going to be fun. Thursday night is the opening game. What do you think against the Warriors? I mean, that's a tall task.
Well, you're lucky Durant is not playing already, but if they can take care of home court a little bit, maybe sneak one or two out there and have a little luck on the road, you just don't know. Anything can happen.
All right, so we got to turn serious talk here. Cubs Cardinals this weekend, right?
Oh.
Both of you scowl at the thought of that right now.
My Cardinals aren't playing very well right now.
And the Cubs are struggling a little bit here
have
lately.
Lost 3 in a row too, but they score a lot of runs. There's so much balance in baseball anymore, and anybody can get out at the right time. Cubs were 10 games over, and the Cardinals were like right there on their heels. Seemed like right after the series with the Cubs, they kind of fell apart.
Actually, in the Cubs series, they fell apart.
Yeah.
When you're a team built on pitching and you take one of your starting pitchers and have to move to the bullpen, you're in trouble. So I think they're bringing up a left-hander for Wednesday to start. So they're bringing a rookie up, and they're just trying everything right now to
That is
find
so
something.
un-Cardinal-like.
And the pitching's really, really good. But again, I told you the other night, they had the Braves down and went to their closer Hicks, who throws 105, and he gave it up. So they find ways to lose right now, and they'll get it turned around. They're a nice young team, but they're in that spiral right now, and it takes a little bit when you're young to learn how to get that. Something you might know a little bit about as well with your young teams.
It's a division that's loaded. You just really can't count anybody out. And they go to Cincinnati here the other day and lose 2 out of 3, and Cincinnati's starting to put it together a little bit. There's so much balance, and it was ever hot at the end. I know the Cubs hit a ton of home runs, but you look at their pitching staff. Yesterday was Hamels, and he struggled with the Astros a little bit, but if they don't score 6 or 7 runs, it's really tough for pitchers to hold them under 4.
So being a coach, would you rather have a team that scores a ton of runs or have a great pitching? I know the balance in there would be the greatest, but if you had your choices, which one would you rather ride?
I'd rather have pitching and defense because that's the most consistent thing, I think. And
You're in every game if you pitch and catch.
If you can figure out a way to scratch across a couple runs, you can beat a lot of teams, but pitching and defense will get you a long ways.
Bullpen, especially for the Cubs, has really struggled at points this year, and that's still just got to be a source for Joe Madden to go, when do I do it? When do I pull the trigger?
Yeah, and they're using Cheezick a little bit, that sidewinder a little bit, and Morrow doesn't look that he's coming back anytime soon. So they've got a lot of money busted there in that closer role. And Kimbrel and some of them guys are still out there. It'll be interesting to see, after the draft deadline here, that if somebody doesn't get aggressive and get one of those guys.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. Once again, that's a Cubs Cardinals series this weekend here coming up, so we'll have that for you on KCIM. Let's talk a little baseball. Kemper baseball this year, of course, it's been an up and down weather spring. I mean, how brutal has it been for you guys? But you guys have a little advantage at Kemper.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. They finished that field house 3 years ago, and it's big enough in there for us to get 30 guys in there and get a lot done. And, we've had our practice times, but at Kemper we have so many other successful sports going on. Girls soccer still going. Golf went deep. Tennis was very good, so we have to share with them, but it's a great asset for us. And, we did get some time. Scott Parcher's back at the stadium working in there, and he keeps it very good shape. And we can still hit outside, and he's very good about letting us on the field. But sharing it with Carroll High and the Merchants coming to town this week too. It's going to be kind of it's tough, but we make it work.
Yeah, we'll talk about that traffic that happens on that field here in just a minute. But go back to the field house. How quickly can you transform that from like tennis into a baseball practice facility? What does it take?
Oh, it doesn't take very much at all. Matt Gredeman has the tennis guys in there, and they'll pull the posts, and away we go. I mean, it's right there. Drag them behind, and the nets come down for the baseball. It doesn't take hardly anything. Matter of 10 or 15 minutes, we can have it set up for baseball or tennis or basketball or whatever really works. It's really a great facility. If anybody hasn't had a chance to see that, you really need to see it. It's really nice. And if you went to the Kemper Ball, they use it as an event center too. So it really serves a lot of great purposes for us. So
anybody else have that kind of facility available to them?
Well, my son Reese goes the Morningside.
I mean, on the high school level.
They don't have
The Des Moines
like
area has it, and the bigger schools all have one. But to get into this size, no.
No, you go to Orange City and up in that area where they share with the colleges. Some people where they share with colleges, there are places available, but not around here.
Yeah. Let's talk about so far your team. Got a young one this year. Only 2 seniors on the team this year. That is so un-Kemper-like.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of the forte anymore. It's just hard to get seniors to play, and it's something all of us coaches talk about all the time. And we've played 4 games, and I've talked to of those Spirit Lake, Red Oak, and Clarinda, they all had 4 to 5 kids off their team last year that did not decide to come back, and they were all primetime players.
Wow.
And, it's everybody. It's their choice as seniors not to play for whatever reason. It's their choice as underclassmen to specialize on maybe basketball or something, or it's their choice just to take the summer off. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Our numbers are very good. We have 38 kids, which is about 8 or 9 more than we usually get. Mm-hmm. But our older kids, it's really hard to keep them out.
So a lot of the surrounding states have spring baseball. I know there's been discussions of baseball and softball moving to spring and maybe swapping. Do you think that would help your numbers, or is that something you guys aren't even interested in? It'd cut into your farming time probably.
Yeah, everything cuts into that, but that's okay.
Well, he hasn't been doing much farming lately, so.
Yeah.
Get your airboat.
Just chasing the ducks out of the planter line. But, that's always talk. I think we may be the only state, and Mr. Pomeroy can call in and tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I think we're the only state left that plays summer baseball, and I would really like us not to change that. I think maybe a possibility would be to move like tennis and golf to the fall, or something in that nature. I know that'd be more competition for football, which numbers seem to be falling in that too a little bit, but I really like the summer program. Obviously the weather is always a factor, but we're just figuring out, we've got one rain out with Harlan already. We're going doubleheader. Tonight's a single with Lewis Central. We're probably going to doubleheader. There's all kinds of ways around the weather thing if we work at it, but
and sports specialization has taken a chunk from you guys too.
Yeah.
Because everybody uses the summertime to work on the sports.
And the basketball is huge. There's lots of basketball camps. But and we have guys go to football, and we've had them in the past, and we just tell them, give us plenty of heads up, let us know you're going, and you can go. But when you come back, you've got to realize that, you've missed, so you have to sit a little bit. But we don't discriminate. We want the kids out. We'll do whatever we can to make them out. We've talked about making them pitchers only. You only pitch during the week and every weekend's off, or vice versa, or whatever we can do to get guys to multi-sport. Coaches and I talked about this the other day, that we looked at all our guys, and every one of them is a multi-sport athlete. So we got, with our numbers at Kemper, and they're pretty good, but we still need all our guys participating in all sports.
Now, talk about your youth. It's always fun when you get those young guys playing. You have a lot of enthusiasm. You got to kind of bite your lip a little bit, because you're going to have some errors. You hope maybe they're aggressive errors, but talk about how fun it is with the young guys when they first get out there.
Well, you don't have to worry about parking spots because they're not old enough to drive to the game. So you can park right up front. But our guys, it's fun. It's fun coaching young guys. And, they're going to make mistakes, and we just encourage them to make mistakes. If they're not afraid to make mistakes, then they'll stick their nose in and they'll get after it. So, yeah, it's fun. But the other thing that's really rewarding is seeing our couple seniors that we have and our older kids. We have a few juniors, too, that take that leadership role and take those guys under their arm and, hey, tell them, that's not the first time that's ever happened when something bad happens. So
just
they've
go
all
watch
got
my
stories.
highlight film.
Exactly. It's all good. And they're young. We looked around the field the other night when we went to Spirit Lake, and we had 4 sophomores and a junior on the infield. Or sometimes it's 5 sophomores and a junior.
Yeah, when has that ever happened?
But it's exciting as long as we can keep those guys interested.
Talk about there's been some rule changes the last couple of years, like pitch counts, things like that. Everybody's kind of gotten used to that. How do you like it, the rules? Do you see any changes coming there?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I got Coach Klink working with me, and he's a numbers guy, and he's a teacher up at school, and he's technology savvy, and he can do all these things, and he keeps track of all that for me the last 3 years. So I'm very lucky.
Well, you got a regular phone, though. It's not a flip phone.
Yeah, but I don't know how to run that.
Oh, okay.
And,
that's just for show.
That's just something I carry around so you guys think I'm in technology mode. But anyway, as far as the numbers go, I think, in the past we may have overloaded guys. And I can see it from going to college games the last couple of years that the college coaches, they need a fresher arm to work because they're really taxing them pretty good there. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's a good thing. It makes us develop more pitching. It makes us think about things a little bit more. Maybe going lighter with kids on the number early in the year, and so they last at the end.
There's more opportunities for those kids that do want to explore the pitching realm.
And that's true, too. The kids see that, hey, this guy's only going to be able to throw so many today. I'm going to get a chance. If we get getting into trouble. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that really has made baseball better for us.
Because you're sharing the field with the Merchants and the Carroll Tigers, of course, so we're going to talk about that coming up next here on KCIM Sports Rewind.
As the athletes at your house. Professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
It's KCIM Sports Rewind. It's John Ryan, Jeff Honnold, and Randy Snyder, Kemper baseball coach, joining us here. The Randy Snyder. Excuse me.
Before you get too far, John, I've noticed one change in Randy's coaching style. You're a little faster walking to the mound now. What is that? Is that a change? Is that you only get so many seconds? Is that why we go out and back so fast? Or?
Well, in the past, I've always checked with Jeff if we're going to be breaking away for 30 seconds or a minute, and I'd look up and he'd give me some kind of an indication. But most of those times I had the gout going so bad, so my wife has done a better job of hydrating me so I can walk faster. I'm not bumping my toe all the way out there.
Okay.
So cut the commercials a little shorter this year. It'll be a quicker
We can do some 30s.
We did used to time him with a calendar every time you walked out there. So
I've heard that.
Let's talk about the field. Merchants Field is got to be one of the best used facilities out there, and give all the credit to the grounds crew out there. Talk about that field, playing on it for high school and having to share it with two other teams.
Well, the thing you never gets old is when the other team comes and they get in that dugout and they start looking across that field like they've something they've never seen before, and they see it. And every field that we go to, no offense to anybody else, but it's one of the best, if not the best, natural grass turf, natural grass fields in the country. I don't know where else they'd be. Went to a lot of college games again last spring. Nobody even close. I mean, it's ideal. And Scott, yesterday, Memorial Day, he's in there. This is a part-time guy, by the way. He's in there working on that thing. So Scotty does a great job. We're very, very lucky to have him.
I was talking to him a few weeks ago, and he was complaining about the grass type. He's trying to keep one type in there, and an invasive species has come in. He's upset. He said he killed off the right field and redid it, and it's still growing back there. So he's just a perfectionist. I mean, all of us look at it and go, oh, my goodness, that is beautiful. And he's complaining because it's got the wrong grass type.
Yeah.
He's just not somebody that goes in there and cuts the grass, folks. This is an artist. This is a guy that really does a good job. And he is very particular about how he wants it. In fact, yesterday we gave instruction on how to run a rake and a broom because he wants it done the right way. So, and you can appreciate that.
That's what it takes. I mean, every Merchants player to a T comes in and says, this is the best field we play on by a long stretch. Even their own home college stadiums, a lot of time, this is the best. But talk about, sharing that field. It gets a lot of wear and tear. I mean, what are some of the problems that you have with that kind of, traffic on it? Well,
depending on the weather, again, and this year is going to be a test, too, with all the way the water is that we cannot be on there when it does not fit us. I mean, if the infield is not playable, we go backwards when we tear it up. So it's between Ryan Young, who's the new head coach at Carroll High, and Cody Williams, who's the head coach on the Merchants side of it. That we got these phones. We can text each other back and forth, and if we don't have to practice on it, it's just the benefit because it'll last a lot longer when it comes to late July. And but Scotty Parcher is the key. He's the guy. I mean, without him, this thing is not possible.
Now, talk about Cody a little bit. I mean, that's got to be great to see him come back and manage the Merchants. And do you get a chance to be around the Merchants very much?
My son Reese is going to play part-time with him this year. We watch him as much as we can over the year. I think it's great for the kids.
He sits out in the right behind first base up on towards the top. I see him over there.
Yeah, and it's just great to sit back there and watch. And Cody, we're excited. I feel a little threatened by Cody now that he's a coach and he's coaching at that level. But he's a great, energetic young guy, and I think he'll do a good job. But it'll be exciting. They actually have a game on Friday, I hear. So there might be the first game in there this week, the way the weather's going. But it's a great thing. I don't think anybody ever imagined that it would escalate to the level that it's at. But talking to some of the sponsors and the people behind it, like Jim Allen and the guys, Mr. Perrin, that they get a lot of support and a lot of help from everybody else in the community, and that's why it's possible. So that gem of a field that we have to play on. It's just nice to have 3 teams that can get on there and play as much use as it gets.
Do you guys get much interaction between the players? Is there anything at all really between your players and the Merchants players?
Not a lot, but they know a lot of them. I mean, my wife and I, we've hosted a couple of them over the years, and Reese grew up with a couple of them. So, we get to know them pretty good. We knew Coach last year a little bit. You know, they'll be around at practice once in a while, walk through and watch what we're doing and give us a little input, which is really nice, I think. But after the season gets going, either they're on the road or we're on the road or Carroll High's on the road. So it's really difficult to. But towards the end of the year, it seems like you make friendships with those guys, and they're great people to bring in the community.
Now, you're doing the games this summer, Jeff Honnold, of course, and talk about the fun that is and getting to know those kids.
Well, 9-inning games are a little different than 7.
Yeah, I do love the changes they made this year.
I do too, because my bladder struggles at 9. I'm just telling you. The extra 2 innings don't think costs much.
You got to do like the Cubs do. You got to take that 5-inning break where you go out to the bathroom and have a smoke and come back.
We're working on that. We're working on a couple broadcasters. I'm not sure we're going to let Johnny Biter run solo while I go to the restroom, so we'll have to work through that a little bit. But we are going to have quite a few. I think Doug Wanger is going to do some games, and we have some other people. But they're going to live stream every game, home and away. With the help.
Thanks to the great folks from Johnston Communications who are
just gonna say
back over there again,
hiding in the corner like they always do. But
those aren't creepers. Those aren't fans, Randy. Those are the actual people here working in the studio.
That was some new help that you had.
They're the only people that actually work during this show.
I hear you on the broadcast saying the Johnston people, and I'm thinking, where's the Johnston people?
Over in the corner. They like to hide on
perching.
You know, the only one that should actually be on camera sitting back here in the corner. But we're going to do all home and away games, and we're going to test. We're going to try to get maybe even a 3-camera angle, maybe 2, so we get different shots and different views. At least on the home games, away games probably want a single camera, but should be a lot of fun. Somehow Jeff and I got stuck on the committee, on the game day committee. I'm not sure how that happened, Mr. Perrin. But we're part of it. We're excited about it, and I think it'll be fun to be able to tie in all of it, the radio and internet, and then even with Dish Network has a community. So they'll be able, if you have Dish Network, you'll be able to watch it there as well.
Very cool stuff. So they're opening up this Friday, Storm Lake Whitecaps. Again, the daytime games, the weekday games are going to start at 6:35. Correct?
6:35, yep. And then
only
there'll be 7 innings. Yep.
That's going to save on the pitching. And all of the weekend games, they start at 4 o'clock. Is that right?
No, there's some evening games on Saturday night.
Is there?
Yeah, some Saturday and Sunday evenings. But those will be 9. And, again, beer available, adult beverages. Sometimes they get delivered up to us. It's kind of nice. It really is. Got to beg a lot once in a while on air to get them. But
well, we got to talk. Blankman, according to his contract, needs some airtime, so we're going to give him a call on the phone. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Jeff, we hopefully find him underneath a tree somewhere, avoiding the rain showers.
Just tell me there's a lightning strike going over top, not hitting him, but just enough to scare him.
In my head, that's the way it's working anyway. So we'll find out if that's true coming up. Hang on.
As the athletes at your house.
Slow down, slow down.
Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
You don't really celebrate Beef Month by decorating your house with lights or by sending cutesy little greeting cards that moo when you open them. Although that would be pretty cool. Nope, the only way to celebrate Beef Month is with the great taste of Iowa beef hot off the grill. Join KCIM, KKRL, and Kick 106.7 on Thursday, May 30th at Graham Park at the Shelter House from 11 to 1:30. The Carroll County Cattlemen will be grilling up burgers and steak sandwiches, served with chips and a pop for a free will offering, with all the proceeds going to help out 2 great local causes. We'll even deliver orders of 10 or more right to your office or business. Go to carrollbroadcasting.com for order forms and information. So join us for lunch and celebrate Beef Month on Thursday, May 30th at the Graham Park Shelter House from 11 to 1:30. It is 1380 AM, 95.1 FM KCIM. We've got Jeff Honnold, Randy Snyder in the studio here. There, Jeff Blankman out on the golf course in Ames right now. No, it's not a day off for Jeff. He's out there covering the Girls State Golf Tournament. Things just getting underway, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and actually, I don't think I'm on a golf course. I think I'm in a lake.
That's where you normally golf from.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is wet, folks. I'll have some pictures. There are streams where there's not supposed to be streams running through the fairways. There's standing water everywhere here at the Ames Golf and Country Club. Katie Schweers from Kemper just teeing off on hole number 1. We were delayed about 45 minutes with the start today because of the storm that came through. We're going to get a window for a little while. They're talking another storm blowing through at about probably 3 o'clock this afternoon. Going to try to get as many holes in here as what they can. Did hear from Mara Mashing from Carroll. They're down at Otter Creek in Ankeny, which is where I'll be heading here in a little while. They're in a lightning delay there. Same with Kevin Langdorf and Ike Manning over at Marshalltown. They're in a lightning delay there today, too. So everybody going to be kind of in the same boat. It is wet. I mean, literally, there are rivers running through the course right now where they're not supposed to be.
Well, yeah, that's going to be certainly a challenge for everybody out there. But avoiding the whole weather situation. Give us an outlook on how teams are expecting to do at the state tournaments.
Well, I think Katie's got a chance to probably maybe be in that top 10, 15, depending on how things go. I think Carroll High has a shot to be top 5. IK Manning, probably the one kind of newbies. I think hadn't been to the state. I think it'll probably be for them being able to handle the conditions as well as handling the nerves early on. I do say with today's situation and probably the way it's supposed to be raining again tomorrow, if we even get day number 2 in at any of these locations, now people are talking the better golfers are probably going to be the ones that do better. But I'm almost thinking the ones that are mentally tougher and can handle being soaked all the time. Shoes are going to be wet. You're going to be playing in conditions that you really aren't used to playing in. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody holds up through that.
Now, does the girls' union actually tell people what's going to happen if they have to delay, or is that something they just only announce if it happens?
It should be on their website. I don't know if it was this morning or not. I didn't get a chance to check. But normally the girls' union is really good at posting on the website of what's delayed and what's not and what new start times are. But today I think it was kind of one of those that they were just waiting for some of the storm to go through and kind of try and get on the course as quickly as they could.
Randy Snyder's here with us. And Randy, you talk about weather delays. I mean, they're tough to deal with as a coach. I mean, you're in a totally different sport, but you're all kind of in the same boat when you're dealing with weather.
Every 30 minutes, a lightning strike, we get a delay. Every lightning strike is a 30-minute delay, and that just really wreaks havoc on you, especially when it's lightning all the time. Which one was it? Is it safe, And it obviously it's a benefit to the kids, but it's one of them things. It's also safety that we watch out for them. And I don't know what it's like on a golf course, whether they go by thunder or whatever, but back in the day with thunder and lightning, we played all the time, and the last 10 years they've really taken it seriously that we need to be more safe with the kids.
Talk about what that mentally does to an athlete. Do you just let them sit there through that, or what do you do as a coach?
Well, we've had them slip and slide in the water spots outside, and we've had a deck of cards. We usually teach a guy to juggle, stuff like that, but you got to stay loose. You got to be goofy. I mean, the pros, they'll go back in the locker rooms or the clubhouses and play cards, but just finding a way to stay loose and, stay mentally focused and prepared is very difficult for a 13 or 14-year-old when they're playing. But
So do you take extra uniforms in case you do have like a rain and they get soaked? Can they change into something else, or you just kind of tell them to lump it? They're young.
Well, they'll bring 3 sets, but I don't think we've ever changed, come to speak of it. I think I changed last week, but it's kind of as we go. But the umpires are usually are pretty reflective of what the weather. If it's raining hard, we're usually off that field.
Pomeroy's not going to stay out there in the rain.
So how do 40-plus-year-old sportscasters do it, Blankman?
Well, I'm in a rain gear right now, getting ready to jump across a pond here or a stream that's been created with all the rain here today. But one of the other interesting thing, guys, today, too, is with as wet as it is, if you hit into the sand, you get to pull it out of the sand and drop behind the sand because all the sand bunkers are pretty much underwater. Even if you drop somewhere or you hit out into the fairway, if you're in water, they will let you pull it out and take it to a dry spot back behind it where you hit. So it's really going to be interesting with all of the water and everything that's on the course as I jump across the creek.
Hey.
How crazy it's going to be here today.
I know, that sounds like my normal golf.
I was going to say, you can't do that normally?
Yeah.
Hey, John, he went out and got Columbia rain gear. This guy's actually got name brand rain gear on. He's pretty sharp right now.
Wow.
Yeah, except for I don't have waterproof shoes, and they are soaked.
Got everything but the boots, huh?
Yes, I do.
That's an amateur out on the course right there.
Absolutely.
You would have thought you learned from state track. We got soaked enough. I'd have thought you got some rainproof shoes.
No, I'm still pretty dumb.
Oh, I'm not arguing.
Talk about tennis coming up. You've got that later on this week as well. What's the preview of that?
Well, you've got Kemper with Isabel Schwabe over in 1A singles tomorrow afternoon. She'll take on Sophia Walker from Red Oak. Those two are very familiar with each other, have played each other a few times this year. Then you got the doubles team of Abby Bass and Samantha Shorty. They'll be taking on a team from Waverly Shell Rock in the opening round. I'm hoping to be able to get down there tomorrow. If I can get all three of the golf teams covered today, I'll be in Iowa City. Believe it or not, Honnold, I'm going to Iowa City. I'll be in Iowa City tomorrow.
All right, makes up. I've been to Lincoln enough lately. You need to get over there and enjoy the scenery.
I may not survive that trip. We'll see.
We can only hope.
Your skin might burn a little bit, but that's probably normal for Nebraska fans. So,
absolutely.
all right. Well, by tennis, you should have your rain boots, right? You're going to go out and buy some?
I'm buying some before I get done today.
All right. So we'll check in later with Jeff Blankman once again. And by the way, we made it all the way through a rewind show, and I didn't mention my Minnesota Twins, which are way better than both your Cubs or the Cardinals, by the way.
You know what? I listened to them when I was driving across South Dakota. I thought about you. That I'm listening to the Twins, and they're winning. I'm sure he's happy.
I have no idea how Rocco Baldelli is doing it, but boy, they got the right guys at the right time.
And that's exciting. That's great that they have a lot of guys nobody's heard of, and they're great baseball players, and they're getting it done. That's nice.
It's been a lot of fun being a Twins fan this year. So better than being a Cubs or Cardinals fan
You're
now.
correct.
So
You are
you've had the better of it for about 4 decades now, but we're having our time here. So
Absolutely.
Randy, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Get back out in the field now.
Yep, I'm going.
All right. Jeff Honnold once again joining us. That is KCIM Sports Rewind.
When you need to know